Yeah, there's no more victories. I mean, the feeling that we've had the last few weeks, it stinks. And I'd use a worse term, but I'm a man of faith, so I'm not going to use that. It stinks. Our guys could have laid down though easily when we went down this last valley these last 3 weeks and had opportunities, or last 4 weeks, I guess, right? 4 weeks. And they even today, I mean, they just kept fighting and gave us a chance to win the game. And so I'm proud of not quitting. I'm proud of that they stuck together when we could have splintered, and they kept putting themselves in position to win football games. We just got to figure out how to win them. How to win them. That's what I'm most disappointed in me. We didn't have opportunity. We had opportunities tonight and just couldn't get it done. And so, congrats to them. I think they're a good team, and they got a good chance, obviously, to win the championship. And so I'm disappointed in the outcome. I'm not disappointed in our effort, but I'm also probably have more resolve going through the last 4 weeks of seeing where I think we're at our lowest, and we had opportunities in the last 4 games to win every game, and if you do, you're playing for a conference championship next week. So I've got more resolve in knowing that what we got to do to clean things up and get us back to where I feel like we can be a championship program. So I'll open it up from there.
The effort from Evan Dickens tonight, I mean, that obviously the game plan is to beat him as much as you possibly could. I mean, what do you say about this guy? I mean, he's got almost 1,000 yards in his last 5 games.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep him. I'll tell you that. That's part of the problem when a guy breaks out like that and has all that. So hopefully we can get him back. He's been tremendous. And we had the plan there that hey, we wanted to keep the ball. We wanted to try to limit their opportunities. Obviously, not turn the ball over. Wanted to try to feature him in some of the run game and obviously the number of carries that he had. And he was a bell cow and phenomenal. I mean, the runs and running through arm tackles, and he was just physical. I thought he was tremendous. And I thought Michael did a nice job as well. Our quarterback, he made some nice throws. He checked the ball down. He made some mistakes for a young guy, but he gave us a chance to win, especially on the last drive there. So I was proud of him as well.
He had over 500 yards of offense tonight. If you go back week 2, you had over 500 yards of offense against Jack State. Those 2 teams are playing for the conference title next week.
Yeah.
What do you make of that when you're looking at the end of the year and you're like, we did these great things against the best teams in the league and still kind of came up short? How do you process all that?
Well, I mean, this game, obviously, we did have a couple 3-and-outs, but you can't have. I think a big key in that game, we go up 28-21 right out of the fourth quarter, right? I think it was. And they scored 2 straight drives, because then I think we go 3-and-out after that. Just anytime we've had momentum, and I think that's all games. You mentioned those 2 games. Anytime we've got some momentum in both of those games, they snatched it right back from us. Anytime that we had something. And so that to me is one of our biggest issues is when we get momentum on our side, we've not been able to keep it. Somebody's been able to answer it immediately. We've not been able to stop it bleeding at all. And so that happened tonight. When you feel like the team's questioning themselves, maybe you have a chance to get the ball back and put some more points on board. We weren't able to do that. And so at the end of the day, no matter how many yards you got to score enough points to win, and we didn't do that. And we had opportunities and had opportunities at the end of the game, had opportunities and both overtimes, and couldn't find a way to make a play in a big moment. One of the things we talked a lot about with our team is just in the big moments, being able to step up and rise to the occasion. And if you look at the last 4 weeks, there's been some key moments in those games that we've not been able to rise up and make the play when we need to. And we have to get that fixed. I got to get that fixed. And because we've had opportunities for those games to go our way, and we don't make the play that's necessary to make in those key moments. So we got to get that fixed and improved.
15 explosive plays tonight. I think it's kind of for Kennesaw State. I know you talked about the big playability earlier this week. What led to some of the breakdowns there? How much did that hurt tonight?
How many did they have?
15, I think it was 8 to rush, 7 passes.
I think a lot of it we had some missed tackles. When we were in position, we had missed tackles. I don't think they got behind us there, obviously in overtime twice. And had got behind us the whole game, and then overtime they get behind us twice. But I think some other times we missed some tackles that led to explosive plays. There was one, I can't remember what quarter it was. There was a 3rd down and like 15, and they threw a swing pass, and we missed the tackles, and they get a first down. They score on that drive. And so those are things that when you just beat yourself on things of that nature, like when you're there, and maybe it's a 5-yard gain or a 6-yard gain, and you miss a play and that goes 20, or miss a tackle and you go, and those are things you can't have. You can't have, And so I thought we did a good job of keeping them in front of us for the most part, not giving up those, making them earn it. But we had them in. We had them in. They're not used to being in, that many third downs because they go fast. They had 13 third downs, and they're 7 of 13. And I don't have the numbers here, but my rough estimate, there was probably about 4 or 5 of those that were third and long that they probably got 3 of them, and a third and long, and so that's where we have to improve, in my opinion, there, because I think we kept them under the sticks for the most part. They're going to score points; they're pretty good, but we gave them too many opportunities with missed tackles and penalties as well. We had a couple, 2 or 3 face mask penalties, I think, on the defense, and giving up all that hidden yardage, and you can't do that.
Billingsley's been really good the last half of the season. Obviously missed that one tonight with the chance to win the game, and then also looked like a mishap there in the first half with the snap. What did you see on those 2 plays as far as how
the 2 field goals to have an opportunity, right? The first one, the long snapper dropped it. He dropped it, and then when you drop it, you just got to eat it. And he fumbled, and they obviously got a big return. And then the last one, Jay's been great. I think Jay's been 14 of 15, if I'm not mistaken. And he missed it. And sometimes, I after that happened, I smiled. Honestly, I smiled, and I was like, sometimes it's just not going your way, and sometimes you just have to. He's been crushing it, and he's been great. And we didn't lose the game because of Jay Billings. He's been great. And we just happened to miss that one, and then you get in overtime, you score, you feel good, and they obviously, I think they scored on 2 plays in both overtimes, right? Mm-hmm. So, but he's been good, but the first one was it was a good snap. We just bobbled it, and didn't control it the way we needed to, and that's a chance at 3 points right there. So we had a good drive out of halftime, or out of first. We took the ball, tried to just keep the ball away from them some, and you want to get some points, and we had an opportunity there. So that was disappointing, but. I thought we put ourselves in position to win, which I was pleased. It went back and forth. It looked like we were behind, like they answered. We were able to score. Then we got a great stop. We got the ball, and you have a chance. And so, disheartening, disheartening. It really is.
We come in here after a lot of these close games. You mentioned is kind of maybe 1 play, 2 plays here, and it typically is in those big moments, like you said. How do you go about actually fixing those? Is it personnel issues? Is it focus in practice? Is it maybe staff issues? Where does fixing the shortcomings in big moments?
I think it's all the above. I think that missed tackles. Your guys got to make tackles. Coaches got to put you in a position to make a tackle, and if you're there, you got to make them. I think too. From a coaching staff standpoint, in big moments, you got to have the right call on. You got to have the right call on. You can't afford not have the right call on, and so I think that's part of it. And then what was your other one you said? You said coaching. You said
maybe personnel people.
And you said something else. You said coaching, personnel. You said personnel, coaching, and one more.
Maybe just focus in some of those.
Practice. You said practice. And so I do think that I've got to improve. I've got to improve the way we practice, and making sure that players understand that they don't get do-overs. When you practice and something don't work, hey, let's fix it, right? But they need to have the mentality that, hey, we don't have a chance to fix it because you're not going to fix it, obviously, in a game. And so I've got to do a better job of making sure that the emphasis and the practice and the situations, they understand that, like, there's no do-overs. We got to make sure that we're locked in on making these plays and making the right checks and all the different things when it matters. And so I've got to do a better job of that. That's all that stuff's me as far as making sure that we fix those things.
When did you know that Ethan Vasco wasn't going to be able to go today, and what's his prognosis on? He's got another year for you, right?
So we knew Tuesday or Wednesday, and he'll have to have surgery. He'll be out about 6 months. So
that's a shoulder.
Kind of piggybacking off Bryson's question, 4-8 season's obviously over. What are some things that you think need to focus on? Off season starts now. Off season will be in earnest. What are some things you think you need to focus on to have some improvement going into next season?
I think from a personnel standpoint, hopefully you can keep a lot of your returning guys that played for you. You hope they want to stay and get us turned around. You got to work through that. And we got to add, so there's a lot of acquisition. We got to make sure we add the right people to fill some needs that we need to where we need to get better. I think first and foremost is that, and if we can hold on to a core group, if you can hold on to your core group, I do think we got some good young players that played a lot this year that are coming that I think we feel pretty solid about. We've got to, with the ones that are returning, they have to be better detail wise. They got to be better practice wise. They got to be better mentality wise. So we got to work on that. And then I got to take a big look at overall what we're doing scheme wise, what we're doing off season wise, what we're doing in the weight room, what we're doing in all those things. I got to take an overview. I think when you have a bad season like this, unfortunately I've had some. The natural thing to do, or the inclination, is to blow it all up. I've started doing this. I look back and we've lost 4 games in a row. If you count Jack State, 5, and you're in that game as well in the fourth quarter.